Imagine checking your phone one morning and seeing a news alert that sounds impossible. Yellowstone's supervolcano has erupted. Within minutes, social media explodes with terrifying claims. Half of America is gone. The world is ending. Humanity won't survive. But how much of that is actually true? What would really happen if Yellowstone's supervolcano erupted today? The answer is both less apocalyptic and more fascinating than most people think. Beneath the stunning landscapes of Yellowstone National Park lies one of the largest volcanic systems on Earth. Unlike ordinary volcanoes with towering cone-shaped peaks, Yellowstone is a giant volcanic caldera, an enormous depression left behind after ancient eruptions emptied underground magma chambers and caused the land above to collapse. The current caldera stretches roughly 70 by 45 kilometers, making it so large that most visitors don't even realize they're standing inside a volcano. Its geysers, hot springs, bubbling mud pots, and steaming ground all exist because of the tremendous heat still rising from deep below. But that raises an unsettling question. What if that heat finally erupted? First, it's important to understand what a supereruption actually means. A supereruption releases more than 1,000 cubic kilometers of volcanic material. That's thousands of times larger than the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. Yellowstone has experienced 3 known supereruptions in the past. The largest occurred about 2.1 million years ago, another around 1.3 million years ago, and the most recent approximately 631,000 years ago. Those eruptions reshaped landscapes across North America. Fortunately, they are incredibly rare. So, what would happen if one began today? Scientists believe the eruption would not arrive without warning. Long before magma reached the surface, Yellowstone would likely experience thousands of earthquakes. The ground could rise significantly as magma pushed upward. Hot springs and geysers might change dramatically. Some could suddenly stop erupting. Others might become far more active. Scientists constantly monitor Yellowstone using GPS stations, satellites, seismometers, and gas sensors specifically to detect these warning signs. An eruption wouldn't simply appear out of nowhere overnight. If the eruption finally occurred, the first danger would be local devastation. Powerful explosions could send volcanic rock, ash, and scorching gases across much of the surrounding region. Everything close to the eruption would be destroyed. Roads, forests, wildlife, buildings, and infrastructure near the caldera would face catastrophic damage. But despite what disaster movies often show, the entire United States would not instantly disappear beneath lava. In fact, lava would likely be one of the smaller problems. The real threat would come from volcanic ash. A supereruption could blast enormous quantities of ash high into the atmosphere. Powerful winds would carry that ash across thousands of kilometers. States closest to Yellowstone could receive meters of ash. Farther away, cities might receive several centimeters or more. Even a thin layer of volcanic ash is far more dangerous than ordinary dust. It's made of tiny, jagged particles of volcanic glass and rock. It damages engines, contaminates water supplies, collapses roofs under its weight, ruins crops, disrupts power systems, and makes breathing hazardous. Air travel across much of North America could be severely disrupted for days or even weeks as ash clouds spread through major flight routes. The economic impact would be staggering. Highways could become impassable. Electric grids might fail in heavily affected areas. Agriculture across large regions could suffer enormous losses. Livestock would struggle to find clean food and water. Factories relying on transportation networks could shut down. Global supply chains, already vulnerable to disruption, would experience major shocks. Insurance losses could reach trillions of dollars. Recovery would likely take years. But the effects wouldn't stop at America's borders. The eruption could inject massive amounts of sulfur dioxide high into the stratosphere. There, the gas would form tiny sulfate particles that reflect part of the sun's energy back into space. The result? Temporary global cooling. This phenomenon has happened before. When Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines in 1991, global temperatures dropped by about 0.5 degrees Celsius for more than a year. A Yellowstone supereruption could potentially produce a much larger cooling effect, although exactly how much remains uncertain. Some climate models suggest several years of cooler global temperatures. Others indicate regional impacts could vary considerably. Scientists continue studying these possibilities because every supereruption behaves differently. Would humanity survive? Yes. Despite countless internet myths, a Yellowstone eruption would not cause human extinction. It would be one of the greatest natural disasters in recorded history. Millions of people would likely need to evacuate. Entire regions could become temporarily uninhabitable. Global agriculture and economies would face severe challenges. But modern civilization is far larger, more technologically advanced, and more globally connected than during prehistoric eruptions. Food production exists on multiple continents. Emergency response systems operate internationally. Scientists would likely provide weeks or even months of warning before a supereruption became imminent. Preparation wouldn't eliminate the disaster, but it could save countless lives. Here's another surprising fact. A supereruption is actually considered very unlikely in our lifetimes. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, Yellowstone is far more likely to produce smaller lava flows or hydrothermal explosions than another massive supereruption. The volcanic system remains active, but current monitoring shows no evidence that a catastrophic eruption is imminent. Every year, Yellowstone experiences thousands of small earthquakes. The ground slowly rises and falls. Geysers change behavior. These are normal parts of a living volcanic system, not signs that disaster is about to strike. Yellowstone is both breathtaking and intimidating. It's a reminder that our planet is alive beneath our feet. The same underground heat that creates colorful hot springs and spectacular geysers also reminds us of Earth's incredible power. If Yellowstone ever produced another supereruption, the consequences would reshape modern civilization in profound ways. Cities would struggle. Climate could temporarily cool. Global economies would be tested like never before. Yet humanity would endure. And perhaps that's the most remarkable lesson of all. Nature can unleash forces almost beyond imagination. But understanding those forces through science allows us to prepare, not panic. Because sometimes, the greatest danger isn't the volcano itself.